Saving your first 10K is genuinely one of the hardest milestones you'll reach in your entire financial journey. Not because it's complicated, but because it forces you to confront habits that most people avoid. So let's talk about exactly how you can work towards having £10,000 saved. No gimmicks or make millions while you sleep advice, just changes that you can actually stick to that will help you reach this target.
But 10K is quite a high target. Do you have any actual tips I can use to help me on my way to this 10K?
The first step, and the one most people avoid, you have to audit your money. This is simply understanding where your money's going. And this is where most people quit because it requires time and effort. But without this step, everything else is just guesswork. Go through your last 2 to 3 months of bank statements and list out all of your outgoings, and then place them into one of 3 buckets: essentials, wants, or savings. And by doing this, it's going to give you the clearest possible picture of your finances right now. And once you see the numbers in black and white, the next steps become so much easier.
Okay, that only took me about an hour, and you're right. I've already noticed a few areas where I was overspending without even realising it.
Next comes building a budget that actually works for you. You've probably heard of things like the 50-30-20 or the 60-20-20 rule, which tells you how to split your money between essentials, wants, and savings. And these can definitely be a helpful starting point, but often I think they're too rigid. Everyone's cost and lifestyle is different. And once you audit your money, you might realise that 50% on essentials is absolutely doable without cutting back on anything necessary. You might think you can do less on spending on wants and reduce that to 15%. Then all of a sudden, you've freed up 35% to save and invest. Of course, you always need to pay your essentials first, but where you can, you need to try and reduce the unnecessary spending without making yourself miserable and still doing the things you enjoy. The goal here isn't perfection. Is finding a suitable budget that works for you, which you can stick to over the long term.
So what would you suggest I do to free up some cash so I can save more without giving up everything I enjoy?
That's exactly when you need to look at the expenses that you listed down earlier and identify your spending triggers. These are things you buy often, you know you don't need, but you continue to buy. For me, this was coffees on the go and eating out too often. Not because I loved it or because it tasted better, because honestly, 9 out of 10 times I would prefer a home-cooked meal to eating out, but it was purely for convenience, because sometimes finding it tricky to do those things is difficult. But once I started to prioritise meal prep on the weekends, the amount I saved on a weekly basis was huge. And this worked for me because it was a big spending trigger that I really wasn't bothered about swapping out. It meant that I saved money and I was still eating the food that I enjoyed, so it worked out as a win-win. And that's why you have to find out spending triggers that are specific to you. Cut these things out where it's actually going to stick, because consistency beats perfection every time. And then you'll notice just how much money you free up on things that you know you don't need and you'll probably forget about once they're gone. Once you've audited your money, built a budget tailored to you, and identified your spending triggers, the next thing you need to do this week is open a savings account if you haven't already got one. I know watching videos like this feels productive, but without action, it doesn't change anything. You need to use the momentum that you have right now to take steps which is going to help you achieve your goals. When choosing a savings account, you should think of 3 main things: the interest rate the provider is offering, any limits or restrictions, and how accessible your money is. But at the end of the day, if your savings account is helping you save and reducing your unnecessary spending, then it's doing its job. And this final part is where some people are inconsistent, and I'll tell you why and exactly how you can avoid it. Most people start off with really good intentions and say they'll save £250 this month and then leave it in their current account until the end of the month. Now, this might not sound like anything, but this is a very risky game, because what almost always happens is payday creeps up, plans come up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden that £250 just magically disappears. To break this cycle, we need to start treating savings like a bill. You pay rent and utilities first because they're non-negotiable, but we need to start treating savings in the exact same way. And the easiest way to do that is by automating it. Set up a direct debit to move money into your savings account straight after you get paid. Bills paid, savings paid. Then whatever's left in your account is for you to enjoy guilt-free. Your first 10K won't come from one big sacrifice. It comes from small, boring decisions done consistently. If you want help building the next stage, investing, or just optimizing what you already have, then be sure to subscribe to the channel for new content like this every week. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.